Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome in, welcome, welcome. Take just a couple seconds, let everyone come in nice and comfortably to the live. Hope everyone's having a beautiful day so far. It is a sunny day in California for me. It's pretty hot. We are in the thick of, I guess we call this the dog days of summer. Is that August? So I'm in Southern California. It is afternoon for me. Go ahead and pop in the chat where you guys are visiting from in our beautiful sacred container that connects us so deeply and so globally. Nicaragua, amazing. Sunny, humid Iowa, I hear you. UK, beautiful. I'm taking a second to just scan through the comments as we get ready to get going for today's Self-Care Simplified. Mexico, London, Chile, Syracuse, New York, El Paso, Argentina. Yeah, every time we start our Self-Care Simplified, Colombia, the UK, it always really invokes in me like my deep inner adventure. Every time I see where everyone is watching from, it really grounds me in so much gratitude that it's even possible for us to connect in this way from all over the world in this moment, sharing this energy together on Instagram. And then it also Berlin, beautiful. All right, San Diego, Portugal, Miami, New Hampshire. I hope to be in everyone's city one day. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So it's August, and throughout August, we have been exploring the ego through various lenses here on Instagram Live and also on our Thursday Clubhouse series in the Chopra Club. And so this is all in support of a beautiful meditation series that we have that I'm leading on our Chopra app called Embrace Your Life. And it's a 5-part series. You can really sink your teeth into it, like really approachable meditation times to start your day each day in that space. And so we're investigating all the ways really that we experience ourselves. And so today's live, we're really going to focus on how to embrace your world. And I know that that can actually, at least for me, I'll say it's been so interesting to investigate the eyes through which, the lens through which I experience my personal world, my internal world, then my external world, and then the greater world that we're all a part of as a collective. And it always kind of feels really supportive to me seeing the similar themes, that it really is always, in my opinion and in my heart, rooted in the work of soul. Everything that we experience internally, externally, and as a part of that greater collective. It really is always completing those circles and really doing the work in whatever ways that shows up. So today, as we talk about really how to embrace your world, I want to first ground it in what does it mean to embrace your world? And I think 2 words that we speak to quite a bit here on Self-Care Simplified with me, and I don't actually know if I did my intro, so let me take a breath for a second. My name is Debbie Brown. Thank you for being in this space. This is Self-Care Simplified. Every week we go live here on IG and we investigate the path and the journey and all the tools that are available to us in self-care, both tangible physical items and then also sometimes our own internal processes, because they are all under that beautiful umbrella of how we care for ourselves and how we experience ourselves. So thank you for that. And I want to share that, as we as we're thinking about embracing our world, 2 words really stand out that I know you've heard me speak to quite a bit here, and that are always kind of echoed on the spiritual path, but really coming into the space of surrender and acceptance. And when we talk about acceptance, I understand that that can feel challenging sometimes, especially when we think about the greater collective world that we're a part of. Because sometimes we see things or we experience things personally, and the word accept just doesn't feel like a fit, or the word embrace just doesn't always feel like a fit because of the structures we're using to define it. So I want to let's disarm by creating a space where there's an opportunity to expand what these meanings are. So when we're talking about embracing our world, even in a challenging moment, perceivably so by many, right now in human history, we think about embracing what is, when we think about accepting what is, it's coming into a space of cultivating a baseline of peace where this just is. This is just what is in this moment. And so for my greater good, can I come into this space of observation of what is currently, and even maybe sink my teeth into it a little bit with the embrace. And I want to just really, really anchor this in the knowing that to be in acceptance of something does not mean it is our preference. Preference is completely different. To accept something doesn't mean that we even like it in any way. We can actually dislike it. But to accept is to just be in the understanding that this is what currently is available. And I'm in acceptance of that even as I work towards more or learn and grow or seek out more. So when we think about embracing our world, one, I think it's really important for us to first come into this space of, why does that even feel challenging for us sometimes? What is that challenge? When we're embracing our stories, we're embracing our family systems, when we're embracing this greater world that we're all a part of, the piece that can feel deeply challenging, and I think it's important to investigate this first when we're doing some of the deeper work on our paths. It's really important for us to have context for why we're feeling something so that we can feel it, allow it, and then release it and find new tools or new ways to experience our current reality. So the reason that it's sometimes so challenging to just instinctively come into that space of peace or embrace in this world is really that we're innately social beings. And so much of the way that we experience us is tied to how this version of us bounces off of others. Or sometimes we get stuck in these comparative patterns or in our own storying. And sometimes we are very limited by very real structures in place and systems in place that have kept us bound in a variety of ways. And so it's important first for us to get clear on, why is it actually that I feel the way that I feel, and getting curious about it. So I would say that the first piece to coming into an embrace of our world is to really get curious about our worlds and how they're functioning. So to start really asking some of those questions internally and externally. And here at Chopra, our beautiful meditations are really rooted in that investigation, but in a beautiful, gentle way that allows for the questions to be answered and not necessarily controlled. So that happens when we pose questions for ourselves like, who am I? Who am I? And then we don't rush in with the answer, we allow. Or when we ask ourselves the question that I've asked here many times, what is my dharma? What is my purpose? How can I serve? So that's really kind of getting those curiosity muscles going so that we can start to look at things through a more observational lens and not a lens of judgment. That switch of lens allows us to embrace the what is, which allows us to embrace our world more fully, whatever that world looks like for each of us. Another piece that we can come into as we think about that warm embrace that we want to give our lives is coming into a space of cultivating compassion. And I do understand that that's not always the easy first feeling to come into. And a lot of that is rooted in our previous life experiences and the ways that we've come to know and value and operate within ourselves. So compassion doesn't always feel easy, but it actually is the most natural state of being for you as a spirit and as a human. So coming into that space, there is actually quite a lot of ease allowed for us in coming into that remembrance. But it is something that it may feel beneficial to set an intention around. And so when we're working with that energy of compassion, it's not really an energy of nice or pleasant. It's an energy of that deeper feeling of understanding that there is so much that we don't have the answers to. And all of us ultimately, based on our lives, are trying the absolute best that we can in each moment. Let me check out, are we having a little bit of tech issues? The comments go kind of fast when I'm on here, so I don't get to see everyone's, but I'm seeing that there's a pause. My Wi-Fi feels okay. So let's keep going, but please keep me informed. Send me some exclamation points if you can't see or hear me, and then hopefully this will be uploaded and you'll be able to check it out in our Instagram live section. And I saw a quick question about the Chopra Club. So Chopra Club is what we're doing on Clubhouse, which is another social media platform and an app. And we're really able to have expansive conversations there. So what we're doing on Clubhouse, which we have a link in our bio on Chopra that you can connect to it. Every Thursday, we are expanding on the conversation we're having right here on live, and then we're adding other voices. So there's other Chopra educators that are part of it, other speakers in the wellness space. And it's also a place where if you have a question or if you have a thought around this that feels meaningful for you or of service to others, we will bring you up on stage and then you can speak to this topic directly. So it's a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. We're just going a little bit deeper on Clubhouse. It's a place for sharing, and it's more of an in-conversation space. So on Thursdays, that's what we're doing there. So join us if that feels like a fit. So coming back into the space of compassion, if you just joined, we're talking about how to embrace your world, even when that world can feel a little topsy-turvy or scary even. Coming into that space of compassion, coming into the space that is both self-honoring of you and self-honoring of the deeper good and truth that exists in the other person, even if you find yourself in conflict with them or in disagreement with them. So compassion is so, so, so powerful. And then coming into a space of cultivating a gratitude practice really brings forward an ability for us to embrace our world in a way that feels more natural for us, more like we don't have to think about it. So gratitude practice can really look like finding the tiny joys. It doesn't always have to be grateful for the big things. It doesn't have to mean the vacation, the trip to Disneyland, or the grand gesture, but finding a way to feel grateful for all of the smaller, perceivably smaller moments in your day-to-day life. So for me, sometimes that looks like in the morning, I have a new recipe that I like for my coffee. I sprinkle a little cinnamon in, and then I got one of those little whipper things from Amazon, and it just brings me joy. I mean, it's a great way for me to start my day. And so I actually feel very grateful for that. And the deeper gratitude, it's not just about, hey, I got a little cinnamon and I got a little coffee. The deeper gratitude is that I'm really expressing for myself that I have the ability to meet my needs. I am expressing for myself that having delight in my day matters to me. And so I'm gifting that to me. So when we think of gratitude, I really want to ground it in that it doesn't always feel like we are maybe swimming in things to be grateful for, swimming in opportunity and abundance, depending on where we're at. But there really are some of those smaller moments that can be so powerful for us to just pause and just prize ourselves. Just pause and feel grateful for the gesture. Maybe someone gave you a smile on the way out of a store, and for whatever reason, that smile felt really connected to, and it felt nice to smile back. That's worthy of having gratitude for. So in those little moments, really cultivating more of that investigation, more of that curiosity, but then it also creates more pockets for us to feel more anchored and grateful for our lives in this moment, in that what is, so that we can embrace our world, that internal world, that external world, and then the greater collective world. So I like to look at things in that kind of three-prong effect, especially when sometimes the mountains feel a little big to climb. It can feel really powerful to break it into pieces for yourself. First, to embrace the world that maybe doesn't always feel like it makes perfect sense or doesn't always feel nurturing. What are ways that I can first embrace that internal world, that little solar system that exists just for me, that I know about, that I can be in truth with? And then allow that to then inform how to embrace that external world and so on. Even when we feel like the practice can't answer all of our questions, the practice is to be lived. And as we live it, that then expands for us a greater ability to be in that great what is of each moment. So we're talking about compassion. We're talking about gratitude. Another beautiful piece can be really looking to work through what are the difficult times that appear for us with a level of grace. And grace is a pretty vast word. I remember at a different juncture of my journey, I was really obsessed with finding definitions of certain words like grace, forgiveness, and different belief systems. And I'm saying, but how do I really wear this? How do I try this on? And grace is like almost felt as a deep trust, a deeper permission that everything is ultimately working out for your highest good. Grace is also kind of a word that fits so many words beautifully inside of it, because compassion fits into grace. Radiance fits into grace. Ease fits into grace. It's inviting in a nourishment and a softening. So when we think about some of those challenges we face, a great way to begin to cultivate that grace within self, that compassion within self, is to come into a space of gentleness with self. So as we're observing what we're walking through, even if we're placing any blame or judgment on ourselves, it can feel incredibly powerful and nourishing to take a step out. And then also notice, what is the circumstance? What was the deeper informing of how I felt right now in this moment? Or even potentially, what informed why I behaved the way that I behaved? And can I love myself anyway? Can I find a way to still feel good and feel connected anyway? And that starts a beautiful investigation of grace in your life. And affirmations can be really powerful. We've talked about that quite a bit on Self-Care Simplified, and I have another IGTV video that is all about how to build it in a very powerful way. So resting in what is the quality that I'm looking to invoke, and then creating a powerful I am statement around that to really support you. So an affirmation that can feel really powerful for beginning to embrace our lives and beginning to be in that deep acceptance and surrender could really look like, I am covered in grace. I give and receive love with ease. I am worthy of my own love. I give compassion to myself and others with ease. So start playing with some of those words, whether it's a word that's qualitative, something that you would like to invoke as a characteristic, or even if it's a word that you notice actually gives you some charge. Like maybe you hear that word grace or compassion and you're like, I don't know. Leaning into it without judgment and saying, let me try on that word. Let me try on a few affirmations. If I repeat these to myself 3 times a day, am I noticing a shift? Am I noticing a difference in how I'm being with me? Am I noticing a difference in how I feel allowed or able to show up for others or to show up in other places? So that can feel really beautiful, and you can't get it wrong. So even if you didn't catch the ones that I shared, you'll be able to watch this in probably 20 minutes. You can fast forward to this piece. But you can't do this wrong. And so really just start to play with words. What is a word that could feel really, really supportive? Compassion, grace, embrace, radiance, love, self-honoring. Start playing with the words that just strike you. Or some of the words that can feel like they take your breath away. And then build an I am statement around it. You cannot get it wrong. You can only add benefit. I saw someone just added, I am worthy of love. Yeah. And I would even add to that one, I am worthy of my own love and receive love from others with ease. I give and receive it with ease. I am deeply worthy. I am enough. Playing with some of those words I really love. There's one that I say with my son who's 3, and I've taken it on with myself quite a bit, especially as we navigate some of these changes we've been going through in the world that, the new normal that never seems to kick in because the changes are still rolling in. Some that I like to say with him that I've adopted to me are, I am safe, I am protected, I am provided for, I am covered in God's grace, I am perfectly designed, I am loved and lovable, I am valued and valuable, I am worthy, I am limitless. Those are just a few. And if you enjoy those, then definitely add that to your life. We do those 2 times a day and it feels so good. Okay, so those are our affirmations piece for embracing your world. And then the final piece that I really want to sink into right now in this moment is and empowering yourself to create a practice around your desires. So there is a lot that floats around. There are so many powerful tools within this world of spiritual journeying. But it's really important that you start to not just lock into the tools that people are telling you to use or are the latest, maybe on-trend piece of how people are using mindfulness and well-being, but really trusting that you can identify your deepest needs and you can actually meet your deepest needs. So to create a practice around your desires, first, putting that observation hat back on and saying, what is an area of my life I'd like to grow? Do I feel like I'm embracing my world? And if not, no judgment there. Can I? Is there an opportunity to show up for myself more deeply in that way? Is there an opportunity to pad my life with things, with opportunities, with experiences that support that deeper desire? We have so many desires on our hearts, right? But our behaviors, are the structures that we have created for ourselves, our systems, our lifestyles, also in support of that deeper desire. Because we'll always hit a wall if they're not, you know? And there's always going to be an opportunity to say, can I switch? Can I pivot? Can I call in? Can I bring forward? So creating a practice around your desire. If your desire is to embrace your world, what helps make that desire real and actualized? And then building out from there. So that could look like building a practice like the gratitude practice that we spoke to. That could look like to embrace your world, building a practice where maybe you're taking time to get curious about some of the things that feel scary that you're seeing in the world. And maybe there's some investigation there, and not just Facebook investigation or Google. But maybe it could be an opportunity to have real convo with someone, you know, in a non-judgmental way and just being transparent, like asking questions about what feels uncomfortable or what maybe doesn't feel fully understood or seen in the world right now. And can you start some gentle, compassionate dialogue around it with yourself first and then with others? Maybe that could be a piece of the practice. Maybe to embrace your world, a beautiful piece of the practice could be committing to going outside for 15 minutes a day and taking a walk, and then looking and noticing what feels good about this walk. What are the scents that are connecting me to another thought? What are the things that I'm able to really lay my eyes on that feels like, wow, that sense? Through my vision, I'm connecting to beauty maybe, or calmness or stillness. So that can be a powerful, powerful, powerful way, especially when done consistently, especially when done every day, to really show up to answer those questions of, am I embracing my world? How do I do it if I'm not? And that is something that I'd like to do. And then how can I continue to expand that and build that out? So I hope you'll join us. We have a 5-part series that's up on our app right now that I lead called Embracing Your Life. And this month we're really investigating ego. We're investigating any barriers to being in that full, deep, passionate, loving embrace with ourselves, that deep embrace with our lives and our experiences, really lighting and igniting that internal fire so that we can kind of stay hot for ourselves, stay warm for ourselves, stay enthusiastic for ourselves in our lives. That's what we're investigating the whole month of August. We're doing it here every Tuesday, Self-Care Simplified. On Thursdays, you can join us on Clubhouse in the Chopra Club. There's a link in our bio of our page to join us there. So what we're talking about with Embrace Your World, I'll be joined by other speakers and teachers on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. PST, and we'll be going through it there as well and just having some bigger dialogue around how does one embrace their world? How can we really connect internally, externally, and to the greater collective of the world that we experience? As always, I am so grateful for you joining me here on this beautiful page. I'm Debbie Brown. Once again, you want to connect, hit me at the bottom. And big love to everyone. Have a beautiful week. Namaste.